Mayor Bissen, are you really serious? How can you claim to be for the entire island? With your stance on the proposed rental legislation and the negative impact it's going to have on our economy and our residents' home values and essentially crushing their nest eggs, I understand housing is critical, but your unwillingness to build out of this problem and instead punish the current owners on our island is unfathomable. Let's take a look at the facts. You know, the past county councils eliminated nearly all new construction of affordable housing back in 2006 and 2007 by implementing an egregious 50% affordable requirement. That went for 10 years where we had no new construction, essentially no new building, no new permits to speak of, and no new housing. Finally, the county council figured out that they were being completely unrealistic, and finally they changed the rules back to a 25% affordable component, and finally affordable housing started to appear again on the island. It took several years to catch up after that 10-year delay, and it's really a shame that the county council thought that they could just force developers to create affordable housing in an unrealistic climate of affordability. The next thing I want to point out is our affordable housing in the past has been like hitting the lottery. If you were able to get a home through the affordable lottery program or through one of the developers, the unfortunate reality of it is it just turned into a market rate sale a handful of years later when the homeowners that bought it at affordable were able to sell it. Well, that completely dismantles the affordable component and turns everything into market rate. Great for those people who were able to buy those affordable homes. Some of them became millionaires because of that. I don't think that's the intent of the affordable and the workforce housing program. Truly, what we should be doing is creating a system where affordable or workforce housing gets built, buyers get to buy it, and then when it sells to affordable clientele or a workforce clientele at a discounted rate. The other alternative could be that they sell it at market rate and the county and the homeowner share in the profits, and the county share goes into building more affordable housing for future purchasers. Either one of those would be a great alternative to what we're doing now, creating affordable housing that turns into market housing. I think that's been a mistake that our county has been implementing for the past, decades, and it doesn't work. So we need to change that as well. Before the fire, the building department was taking somewhere between 8 and 12 months to deliver a building permit. I'm sorry, but that's just absolutely ridiculous. What an inefficiency in our government there. And that department, from what I understand, is under scrutiny for their policies, their techniques, and possibly some things that were incorrectly or inappropriately done. Now, after the fire, that department is even more inefficient. And it's just not right. We are seeing hardly any new development going on. What is the problem? Where's the inefficiency? Can we work on our building department so that we can be more efficient? In many other places in the country, it takes 2 to 4 weeks to get a building permit. How can it take 8 to 12 months here on the island of Maui? It's just a shame, and therein lies one of the other problems of why we are struggling with having affordable and market rate housing for people to buy here, which then forces the prices up. Another problem we face is that some of the residents that are here on our island are against all new development. They've got here, they're here, now don't let anybody else get here. Well, I'm sorry, but that's just greedy, and it just doesn't work. We really need a healthy balance of building and creation of more housing. The economist Paul Brubaker has said for many, many years that we are severely behind on affordable and market rate housing for the growth of our island, and the county council and the government has been in the way from allowing new production. From a stat that I heard many years ago, I believe our island is about 5% developed. There are not tons of people here. We do need additional infrastructure, but without the government behind this and being smart about the process, it's become an ongoing battle. And unfortunately, we need our government leaders to be proactive in creating opportunities that make sense for our island. Mayor Bissen, your proposal to claw back 7,000 legal vacation rentals has completely trashed our island and our economy. More of our residents are leaving the island because of a lack of support for home ownership. Your vision has been to trash the values of the properties to create affordable housing, but at the expense of who? At the expense of your property owners that currently live here on the island. And that also just crushes their nest eggs. And you seem to be okay with that. Instead of creating a reasonable plan to build out of this unfortunate situation, your solution is just to take wealth and take value from your existing residents. It just doesn't make sense to me. We really need the County Council to address this proposed legislation sooner rather than later, as it has severely impacted the real estate market on the island, as well as the tourism markets. To give you an idea, the real estate market on Maui has had a severe depression in sales. In fact, in 2025, in the first 3.5 months, we have seen a 28% decrease in unit sales over last year. That's crazy. That is over 25%. Now, when you look at South Maui, the number is mind-bending and staggering. It's 45% reduction in unit sales. A good bit of that is because of Mayor Bissen's great plan to rip 7,000 units out of the housing market for short-term and turning them into long-term, which everybody has said many times they don't work as long-term housing. They are really been designed as short-term condominium hotels, and they were miszoned originally, but that's what drives our economy, that's what drives our tourism market, and that is also why our tourism is down, because guests are feeling unwelcome and not wanting to come here because they don't know if the place that they rent will be available for them. Now, let's go to the next topic, the UHERO report, based on Mayor Bissen's idea to claw back these 7,000 rentals. The UHERO report clearly states that at a minimum, it will affect our Maui economy by $900 million, which I believe is, well, way low. Check out my napkin math video above, and my calculation was well over $2 billion. Now, when you watch my calculations, it all is simple math. That has also been substantiated by Paul Brubaker's study that came in at roughly $2.4 billion that this proposed legislation will cost our economy and our homeowners. So, I just don't understand how Mayor Bissen can be okay with that. But let's go with the $900 million that the UHERO report has said. And can you please explain to me how you can be okay with that? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. There are other alternative paths, but our mayor doesn't want to really consider those. The bigger problem I see is that all of this shortcoming of income is going to have to come from somewhere. And ultimately, it's going to come from the residents that are currently here. We're going to additionally tax our tourists. But as a homeowner, I know that I'm going to bear the brunt of that tax penalty. And it's going to be somewhere between 18 and 34%. That's just unfathomable to me that we as residents of the island are going to be taxed additional 30% thereabouts because of the missteps of the county. I think we really need to rethink our direction and really need to understand who comes first. Mayor Bissen, you said the residents come first. My question is, which residents are you referring to? Because I know it's not going to impact me in a positive way. So, and by the way, Mayor Bissen, congratulations on your raise. I'm so happy for you.